The argument is that Allah is arbitrary, that he is someone who simply does as he wills. That means that he is arbitrary and fickle. If I walk down a road and I see 10 thirsty men and I give 5 of them water and I allow 5 of them to die of thirst, I am arbitrary. I am not merciful. That is what they are describing Allah as. This is not magnificent. This is a dictator. This is a tyrant. This is the kind of thing that Pablo Escobar used to do in Colombia. He would go down the road, see a poor man, feel sorry for him, and build him a mansion. And then he would go down a road, someone would look at him funny, and he would have him shot dead. So basically, Allah looks more like Pablo Escobar.
Well, you were saying, yeah, go on.
I am very much concerned about Islam.
Points.
First one,
Bro, I don't know what
first one
And that means Allah doesn't need anyone to be merciful.
I get your point.
But you have not been able to give an example of mercy that does not involve a transaction.
Do I know everything about Allah?
So now your defense is I don't know.
Do I know everything about Allah?
Of course you don't.
There's things about Allah that I don't know. About
Do you
Allah.
agree that what we know contradicts itself?
No.
On what basis? Where's the flaw in my logic then?
Because you're saying that I can't think of a transaction. You've been filmed. I don't want to be filmed. Please.
I want to be filmed. You can film me.
And I don't want to be heard.
That's fine. Keep the camera on me, bro. Keep the camera on me. Yeah. Where?
So your premise is that I have to think of an example of Allah being Rahim without a second time.
Yeah. And then you win. You can win the argument.
I can't give that example, but that doesn't mean that example is true.
Right. So 1 second.
Do you agree with that?
No, it doesn't follow. Logically, it doesn't follow.
Logically, do I know everything?
Logically, it doesn't. Your argument does not follow.
No, I'm saying logically, do I know everything?
No.
So if I don't know this particular answer, does that mean it doesn't exist?
No, it doesn't. However,
I'm happy.
however, 1 second. I'm glad you're happy. But at the end of the day, what you're admitting to is that.
Because I'm saying I don't know.
But that's the point, bro.
Yeah, I don't know this example.
You've not. That's the point that you're admitting. You're admitting that what we do know about Allah doesn't actually make sense.
Just because I don't know it
Because
doesn't mean someone else doesn't.
I challenge. Go and speak to your scholars and ask them for an example of mercy that doesn't involve a transaction. Then come back to me and give one. Because what I'm saying to you, bro, is if Islamic monotheism is self-contradictory, it's not true. Right. So I have given you a contradiction. You have said that I can't reconcile that contradiction. 1 second, and your defense was I don't know. So if you can't find an answer, then that means the contradiction stands.
I'm limited, but
Until you give an answer. So the contradiction stands, which means at this point, to any objective observer, Islam is not true.
I'm limited. I don't know. I'm not saying I know everything about Islam. But I'll do that. I'll study. What I want to ask you, and I want you to be honest.
Yep.
You say you're a Christian. Trustworthy and honesty is part of your religion, right?
We don't need to play games, bro. What's the question?
I want to clarify.
What's the question? What's the question?
Is trustworthy and
Yes. Speaking radical truth is an essential question version.
now, the definition that you've got of Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim.
No, I just talked about Rahim. You're the one that kept bringing
Okay,
Rahman in.
your definition of Rahim, the one that you quoted, is it limited to that or is there more than that?
Right. What I'm saying is, you're saying.
Be honest. Don't.
I am. I'm going to express my point again. My expression of my point. And this is more for the sake of the camera because you've heard it several times now. I am arguing that Islam and what it says about God is inherently self-contradictory. Premise 1. Premise 1. Allah is not like anything that he has created. Premise 2. Allah is merciful. Premise 3. Mercy, when spoken about Allah, is meaningless unless it is actually something that means something to the created order. Otherwise, it's just mumbo jumbo. You might as well say Allah is blah 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 blah. Because unless you can explain what mercy is, then it doesn't mean anything. When we explain what mercy is, we explain it by way of a transaction between two parties. That is how we explain what mercy is, because that's how we understand mercy. That's what the word means to us in this created world. I haven't finished.
Is it the only
I haven't finished. It also says in Islam that Allah is all-sufficient. That therefore means that he is not dependent upon any other for his qualities. However, mercy by definition is dependent upon others for that quality. If I walk past 10 thirsty people and I only give to them water as I choose to, that is arbitrary. It is not magnificent and it is not merciful. If I give water to 3 people consistently to keep them alive, but then I choose not to give them water and I allow them to die, that is not merciful. I was never merciful. I was only ever fickle and arbitrary. Allah is a fickle, arbitrary God whose other descriptions make no logical sense. That's the point I'm making. Yeah, of course.
So, to establish the truth of your claim, and I like the argument. First, we have to come together on the definition of mercy. Then we have to come together the definition of Ar-Rahim.
Yes. No, just Rahim.
What is mercy in Arabic?
Rahim. Is it? Alright, so I've got the two switched up then.
Mercy is intrinsic.
One is magnificent, one is merciful.
Mercy is intrinsic.
So you're saying it's not magnificent?
You know with English and Arabic.
You're just conflating words, bro.
No, a word for word thing doesn't work.
I'm sorry.
One word in English.
No, bro.
One word in Arabic can mean 5 words in English.
Are you an Arabic scholar?
I'm learning Arabic.
So you're not. Right, but the people that translate this book are Arabic scholars, and they consistently translate. Wait, one second.
Do you want to know the truth?
They
Or
consistently.
do you want to know what you're limited to?
But I'm not going to accept arguments based on your limited Arabic when I have a text translated.
So if I show you that there's more translations in this one, then we can expand on your argument.
Show
Unless
me.
You don't want to hear the
I would like to see a translation that translates Rahman and Rahim as the same word.
So if I show you that,
A translation?
no. If I show you a translation that's different to this,
No, I want to see a translation that translates Rahman and Rahim as the same word in English.
they're not synonyms.
Thank you.
Yes, but they both include mercy.
Right, but my point is, give me for your argument. The only way you can win this argument, I'm going to tell you how to win. Right?
Is to look at the definition. So I understand your point, and this is what
Okay.
I'm saying. But this is why we have to go to the proper definition. You've got a copy and you're using it, and that's fine. My question to you at the beginning was, are you willing to go beyond that definition that you have to the actual proper Arabic linguistic definition to expand on your point?
I am willing to accept any logical argument that explains away mercy without using a transaction. That's all you need to do. Can you give me that?
I will research into it and I will talk about it.
That's fine. Now let me ask you this, bro. If you cannot find, maybe you should do a PhD on this very topic. Maybe I've just inspired you to do a PhD on this very topic.
If you show me the truth,
Yeah.
I will play it.
Brilliant. That's all I'm asking you to do. And we both agree that if Islam is self-contradictory, it's not true. Okay. Now, I'm guessing you.
agree the same?
Yes. Right. Now, let me ask you. What's your name? Hamza. Nice to meet you. Bob here. I don't go by any other name. It's just.
Everyone knows you.
Yeah, exactly. Hamza, have you ever really studied Christianity, genuinely and sincerely?
Studied it, no.
Okay, I would invite you to do so, because when I said to you, I invite you to follow a God that makes sense, you laughed quite dismissively, and that tells me that you've imbibed a view of Christianity that's got nothing to do with study and everything to do with ignorance. Because when you laughed dismissively, and you've just admitted you've never studied the topic.
Not scholarly.
Exactly. So what I would ask you is to have sincerity and humility in your heart, to admit and repent that you should not have laughed in the way that you did, and to actually analyse, and fully accept it, no problem, and to endeavour to study Christianity as a sincere human being. Is that a fair request? And I happily do that with you. I'll give you my email address. We can meet for a coffee.
I will come back, but we can do that. Yeah.
Brilliant. So I'll give you my email address. So Bravo Tango Bravo. Bravo Tango Bravo. Do you want just the alphabet?
No, go on.
BTB. Soko, so that's Sierra Oscar Charlie Oscar.
Sierra Oscar Charlie
Oscar, SOCO. So BTB Soko at gmail.com. Yeah? You write down your questions, we'll sit down over a coffee and I'll let you bash me for a bit. Yeah? Alright. It's really nice to meet you, Peter. You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
No, you believe in it.
Can I?
in terms of camera.
Do JC, will you blur his face?
Blur his face, okay.
Promise?
Yeah, promise. Okay.
I'll
Just
hold it.
make sure you don't go like to different channels because they will also have to blur your face in case you get engaged with Dawa team and debate on other channels.
People will recognise you if you have a debate on camera.
On different channels,
Clothing.
yeah. So
But-
if you have debates on different channels, make sure you also try and blur your face.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna be
Yeah, we promised to blur your face. Bro, I want to give you a gift.
So, okay. He will give you all the information.
Yeah, email me. I'll give you the link once the video's out. Yeah. Right. I want to give you a gift. This was written by an ex-Muslim. He used to be a major in the Pakistani army, and he became a Christian. So he was a big geezer in Pakistan at one time, and then he became a Christian, and he came to the UK, and this is his book.
What's the name of the book, Bob? Show it to the camera.
The name of the book by our
Okay.
brother Major Afzal Shafi. Yeah, he's
Great.
an ex-Muslim, he's now Christian. He gives all his reasons here, and this I give to you as a gift. And please note, guys, when I speak to people and I'm giving them books, proper books, not them pathetic little chick tracts or 12 pence stuff. If you're going to give someone, show generosity and kindness. That should be the marker of the Christian heart.
Should have gave him a Bible, man.
I'm sure he's got one, I suspect, and if he ain't got one, I'll get him one. Okay, have a read of it, write down your questions, and we'll talk. God bless you.
God bless you, brother.
Read the Bible as
Blur your face, don't
well.
worry.
Praise to Christ, man.
Bob, a quick wrap up.
before Christ.
Yeah, I'll give a quick wrap up. So me and the brother were speaking, and we were talking about Islamic deen. We were talking about what Muslims believe, because I believe that Islamic monotheism is internally self-contradictory. And this is something that every Muslim will agree with, something that is self-contradictory cannot be true. If I say that A is equal to B, and that B is equal to C, but C is not equal to A, I've contradicted myself. That statement cannot stand. Because if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then logically it has to follow that C is equal to A. So if I make two statements that are self-contradictory, that statement is not true. Muslims say that Allah is not like anything that He has created. Therefore, that means any description of Allah is meaningless. If you say that Allah is merciful, but then you say that Allah is not like anything in creation, then what you're saying is blah, 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 blah. Because you've contradicted yourself. You've held up two self-contradictory statements. Why? Because mercy doesn't mean anything if we cannot explain it. And when we do explain what mercy is, we demonstrate that mercy is a transaction between two parties. I am a thirsty man, someone gives me a drink to keep me alive, that is mercy. I punch someone in the face. They have the right to punch me in the face, but instead they choose to forgive me. That is mercy. It is a transaction between two parties. That means if we say that Allah is merciful, then what we are saying is that there is a transaction between two parties. However, it also says in Islam that Allah is all sufficient, which means that Allah is not dependent upon another party for any of his qualities. However, therefore we have a contradiction. One statement that says that Allah is all sufficient with no dependency on other parties for any of his qualities, and another quality that naturally requires another party for it to exist, the act of mercy. Now, furthermore, Muslims will say that Allah is supreme, that he does what he wants. If someone just does what he wants, I ask anyone here, anyone who is listening to me, if you just lived by doing whatever you want, do you think you would be a good person or a bad person? You would be a bad person. Now, the argument is that Allah is arbitrary, that he is someone who simply does as he wills. That means that he is arbitrary and fickle. If I walk down a road and I see 10 thirsty men and I give 5 of them water and I allow 5 of them to die of thirst, I am arbitrary. I am not merciful.
That's what Jesus did.
That is what they are describing Allah as. This is not magnificent. This is a dictator. This is a tyrant. This is the kind of thing that Pablo Escobar used to do in Colombia. He would go down the road, see a poor man, feel sorry for him, and build him a mansion. And then he would go down a road, someone would look at him funny, and he would have him shot dead. So basically, Allah looks more like Pablo Escobar than he does like anything that we understand as mercy. Now, by contrast, the Christian God.
Okay.
The Christian God is someone who is both loving and merciful. That he is someone whose character is the very definition of goodness. It's not arbitrary. It emanates from within himself, and he cannot do other than what is in his nature. And so God gives mercy and judgment. He will punish sin and he will extend mercy. And he reconciles this contradiction through the cross. And that is the conclusion, the summary of this chat.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Now I'm going to go into some talks.
Okay. Omar, do we have a quick
Do you have any questions, Omar, on what I've just said?
On the deen.
Okay.
Okay.
believe Allah's a pagan, or the name Allah's pagan.
I believe that Allah was used by pagans, Christians and Jews all before Muhammad used it. And so I believe that it is completely acceptable for a Christian to refer to Allah, so long as when they are referring to Allah, they are referring to the Divine Trinity.
Perfect.
So,